Kia ora and welcome to this episode of the Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, author, Austenite life coach. With me is Rachel Pilwer, Austenite, book buyer, and all-round nerd.
Hi!
Today we're discussing chapter 40 of Emma by Jane Austen. So, in chapter 40, Harriet brings to Emma her most precious treasures to burn to fully get rid of Mr Elton, and then confesses that she's in love with somebody else who she can never marry.
Oh my goodness, Harriet, what a twist. Who could have seen this coming?
Because Emma wants it to be Frank Churchill. She thinks it's Frank Churchill, but we know it's Mr Knightley. And it kind of says something about Harriet, that being saved from embarrassment and having no one to dance with is more important to her than being saved from potentially being mugged, because she was acting like she was being mugged.
Maybe it's especially because she was being slighted by Mr Elton. Even more of an embarrassing situation than if she just was sitting there and no one was dancing at all.
Very much.
But Mr Knightley didn't have to go and dance with her. He chose to go and dance with her. Frank, he just like the first person she came across after the whole situation. He was just there by circumstance. He wasn't actually...
He didn't choose to rescue her.
He didn't choose to... Oh, you need assistance and I'm here. Rather than, you've just been slighted and I'm going to help you out. That's, I think, where the main difference in my mind is between the two actions.
One is a choice, one is circumstance.
Yeah.
Well, intention is really important. So Harriet's finally ready to let go of Mr Elton.
Woo! Great work, Harriet.
We'll do this, and then you know it will be over. It seems like a madness. I can see nothing at all extraordinary in him now. Good.
Mm-hmm.
She'd go any distance to avoid him. And as to his wife, who before she was like, she's so lovely, I neither admire nor envy her.
You shouldn't.
She's very charming, I dare say, but I think she's ill-tempered and disagreeable.
Oh my goodness. Harsh words. Harriet. Harsh words.
And she presents her most precious treasures to Emma, wrapped up in silver paper, and then it's a little box, and then inside is soft cotton. And Emma's like, what? The thing she has in there, a little bit of plaster and the stump of a pencil.
Such precious treasure. In the previous chapter, Harriet's like, I got robbed. Where did they take my most precious treasure? A piece of plaster and a pencil stump.
But because it's precious to her, people will try and take it. Emma gets into a bit of self-flagellation. My sins, my sins. She had plaster. It was one of her tricks to make Harriet and Mr Elton closer. She's divided between being really amused by Harriet and just like sense of wonder. I never would have thought of putting in cotton a piece of court plaster that Frank Churchill hadn't touched. I must not have been that in love with him. Harriet can do this.
It shows the obsession. Harriet wasn't in love. She was obsessed. But she was only that way because of Emma.
You've got to remember she's also a teenager.
Yeah.
You put her next to Marianne Dashwood. Marianne is a lot more mature than Harriet, though they're about the same age, but they both get that really obsessive thing because they're teenage girls in love. They feel huge feelings.
Yeah, they can't emotionally regulate still. Better, but not fully. And now I'm just trying to think of the embarrassing things I kept hold of from my various crushes.
You don't need to confess, it's okay. The second thing is the end of a pencil without any lead in it.
Wait, how short of an end of a pencil are we talking then?
It must be pretty short.
Because my brain was thinking it's still like an inch or so. But if it's got no lead in it at all?
It's very telling that Emma remembers where Mr Knightley was. She and Mr Knightley were talking about liking spruce beer. And Mr Elton goes, oh, I will like that too. Because Emma likes it. Emma remembers the conversation with Mr Knightley and exactly where Mr Knightley was. Harriet only remembers where Mr Elton was, and now she's like, it's weird that I don't remember where Mr Knightley is, because obviously she's now obsessed with Mr Knightley. But you can see where each of their focuses are.
Emma still not realising that actually
she's into
Mr Knightley. What is spruce beer, by the way?
Not sure. Let's look it up. Spruce beer is brewed from spruce trees. Somewhere probably on Donmore Abbey there are spruce trees.
I'm sure you could still get it now, but it's not something that I've ever seen in any form of liquor shop, whether it's available in New Zealand at all.
Probably artisanal. So Harriet goes, "That is the end, thank heaven, of Mr Elton." Very dramatically.
She's letting go of the curse.
We skip 2 weeks. Emma's saying, "Oh, when you marry, you should probably do this thing." And Harriet says, in a very serious tone, this is important, "I shall never marry."
She's so young. Girl, you're incredibly beautiful. Don't say no now when you've got a whole life ahead of you. I mean, Mr. Knightley would never in a million years go for Harriet. But if he did, like, if she wasn't incorrect in her assumption that he had saved her because he liked her, why couldn't you marry him? I mean, the age gap would be even more concerning than it already is.
So it's 20 years between them, but because he is landed gentry, he basically owns the village and the neighbouring village of Donwell. There is a certain amount of not only the age, but the power thing going on. Harriet has no money and no standing to bring to the relationship. So they're in no way equals. She is basically a schoolgirl who's in love with the mayor.
Oof.
Which, when you view it like that, you can kind of understand and go, that seems inappropriate. I wonder if he had met Harriet under other circumstances and she was just pretty and innocent and kind of needed saving, and Robert Martin wasn't there, whether Mr. Knightley might go, "I could look after her, she needs looking after."
If you took Emma and Miss Martin out of the picture, then yes, potentially. But the thing is, without Emma, they would never probably have met. They wouldn't know each other the same way. Harriet wouldn't have probably been invited to the ball. But if she had been, would Mr. Knightley have gone over there? Because then he wouldn't really need to save her, because she wouldn't have had this whole interaction with the Eltons. They wouldn't have slighted her, so she probably would have danced with somebody else anyway, or Miss Elton might have danced with her to be like, "Oh, a pretty girl," because he wouldn't have known her the same way. So,
and he wouldn't have married Mrs. Elton because he wouldn't have run off to go and get married.
Yeah.
The crucial part of this scene is that Harriet and Emma are talking at cross purposes. Harriet's talking about Mr. Knightley, and Emma thinks she's talking about Frank Churchill. So superior to Mr. Elton. Could be either of them.
Mm-hmm.
Emma says the service he rendered you was enough to warm your heart. And Harriet agrees, from perfect misery to perfect happiness. So they've both done things to save Harriet in very different situations.
At this point in the book, it hasn't been stated that it is Mr. Knightley who she's talking about. So when you read this for the first time, you assume that they're both talking about Frank, which is Austen purposely misleading us. I want to know what her planning stage was like. Maybe that's the whole reason she did the whole Travellers bit, was purely just so that Frank could save her. Everyone will think that Harriet's into Frank, but actually it's Mr. Knightley from the ball.
Because both Emma and Mr. Knightley realise their feelings for each other through jealousy, which is a trope. Emma says to Harriet in this chapter, "Be observant of him, let his behaviour be the guide of your sensations." And Harriet does that. Because Mr. Knightley is trying to get her back together with Robert Martin, but Harriet wants to read it as he's interested in her, Emma believes that when Harriet tells her, because why would Harriet lie? And Harriet's not lying. That's what she believes is happening as well. And that is a thing that pushes Emma to go, "No, but he's mine."
Emma hasn't noticed Mr. Knightley's affections towards herself. If he was going to be with anybody at this point in the story, I think it's easy enough for her to think, actually, he likes Harriet because he danced with her at that ball that one time. Because I think Emma would think the same thing in Harriet's situation. Yeah, you're right. It's not until that point that she's actually like, hold up, that's my guy.
Mine.
Get away, bitch. Bad dog. Leave my man alone.
Mr. Knightley is a kind person and he would save Harriet regardless, but I think a lot of his behaviour in that is because of Emma. Because he says to her, "They're trying to harm you through Harriet. Why do they hate you?" Harriet sees it as something for her, and to a certain extent it is, because he doesn't want her to be uncomfortable. But overarching, he's also thinking about Emma and his behaviour towards Harriet.
He wants to be nice to her friend. If you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. Mr. Knightley heard that song years before, a few hundred years before it was written. I feel like this is one of the really small moments that you actually get like a bit of a testament to Mr. Knightley's character. He is a really nice guy. He's really great. There's a reason that these women love him, or think they love him, because he actually is just a genuinely good guy.
Yeah, it's not just that he's the town mayor.
It's nothing like with Marianne Dashwood, where she kind of falls for this, like, he saves her.
And he's flashy.
And he's flashy, and he's roguish and stuff. You know, he's kind of this bad boy, but he has no money. But he's so wanting of money. That's his flaw as a character. Mr. Knightley has the money. He doesn't need to be rakish and creepy. He just does things like saving the woman because he's kind, because he's a nice guy. A very obviously different part of his character. And even compared to some of the other leading men in Austen's works, he's stern, but he's not cold. He's not aloof. He is very genteel.
And friendly. And he would never lead anyone on. And that's something Emma says, and that's the thing that seals it for her. He would never unintentionally lead somebody on. If you think that he's into you, he must be. This chapter is more funny in retrospect than at the time that you're reading it. You need to know what's going on behind the scenes to find it funny, that they're talking at cross purposes, particularly because Emma says to herself, plain dealing is always best. But she talks around the topic. The person you might prefer is superior in situation. Yes. Infinite superiority to all the rest of the world. Harriet and her hyperbole.
It's really funny because they don't do that with Mr. Elton. Oh, you like a man. Oh, I wonder who this man could be. Because they don't talk about it plainly like they did previously.
Emma kind of convinces Harriet to like Mr. Elton. Harriet's come to her already with feelings. Yeah. And Emma says no name will ever pass our lips. We were wrong to talk the way we did about Mr. Elton, and we will be cautious.
So she's learning from her mistakes.
To a certain extent. Harriet kisses her hand in silent and submissive gratitude. Yes, my queen, you have given me your blessing. And Emma is still going, this is great. That means she's not going to degrade herself by marrying Robert Martin. So has she learned anything?
No, she hasn't learned anything at all. It's just like Emma sat in the chair like the Godfather. You come to me on the day of my best friend's not wedding because she'll never marry. Emma is still just so determined to picture any relationship as long as it's not with Harriet and Robert Martin. What if Robert Martin had been the one to save her from the Travellers?
Well, of course he would. That's what he should do. None of this about, oh, he's so brave or anything. No, of course he should.
Yeah.
What else would you expect him to do?
It's only because it's Frank. Or if Mr. Knightley had done it, if it's one of those characters, then it's an act of heroism and they're so, kind and strong. But if it was Mr. Martin, he was just doing what he needed to do as a man. That's how all men should behave instead of Frank. What if it wasn't a man, but it was Emma?
She still would have saved her.
She still would have saved her, It still would have been the exact same thing. Well, would Emma have come off as the hero? Because Emma's a woman, is it then bare minimum? I still think so, because that's your friend. Bare minimum of friendship is that you help your friend. But is that how society would see it? Or would Emma then be, well, her father would then worry. Can you imagine her father's reaction if Emma had been the one to,
how dare you put yourself in danger?
Exactly. Everyone would have been like, oh, Emma was so brave and beautiful and kind, and she was so strong to help Harriet in her time of need.
Well, at least she's helping Harriet with something. And that is our discussion of Chapter 40 of Emma by Jane Austen. I've been Frances Duncan. This has been Rachel Pilwell.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, and we wish you happy reading. All the Lutherans for years were like, Kristen Stewart's gay. And then, many, many years later, she came out. Everyone's like, see?
Yeah, we knew it.
We knew it.